Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. This is Yerd Yao checking in. Let's get started. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Hope you guys are blessed. Hope everything is doing fine where you are. This is Yerd Yao, and this is Hebrew News. You guys see already, the war is back started. We are getting back started. Americans are getting back started waging war in the Middle East. You can see over the weekend that President Trump sent out fresh strikes in Yemen, with the excuse being the attacks that are happening in the sea area there. And then also fresh strikes in Gaza, killing over 400 people last night. You guys don't want to play this down or make it seem like a small thing, because you're talking about 400 people whose lives were lost overnight. So the war is started back up, you guys, and we are seeing a brand new aggressive strategy from the Ashkenazim and from also the Americans. Let's just go ahead and get started with the news here. I have a clip for you guys.
Carried out what it describes as extensive airstrikes on cities across Gaza, the largest wave since a ceasefire with Hamas began in January. Well, the Israel Defense Forces have issued new evacuation orders for the areas of Beit Hanun, Khuzar, Al-Basan al-Kabira and al-Jadida. As those strikes continue, the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry said that at least 413 people have now been killed, including the highest-ranking Hamas official in the territory, Mahmoud Abi Wafa. In his statement, Hamas blamed unlimited US support for Israel for the deadly strikes in Gaza.
So we know that this much is true, that the United States unilaterally is supporting the genocide that's going on in Gaza right now. And if you guys have not been paying close attention to what's been going on since October of 2023, there's been 40,000 deaths, most of them being women and children in Gaza from the United States and the Israeli aggression, you guys, because you have to look at it as both the United States and Israel aggressively attacking Gaza together. We know that unilaterally, whether it was President Biden or President Trump, that support for Israel has not waned. The genocide started on President Biden's watch, and it continues on President Trump's watch, you guys. So we understand that Israel militarily controls America. You cannot look at it in any other way. As you can see over the weekend, that the two nations, both as if coordinated, struck two targets, both targets on Israel's list of countries to subjugate. That would be Yemen, and of course the Gaza Strip is not a country, it's a region in Israel, but this is clearly the war of aggression that they have been waging in the past year, you guys. And so this is no mistake at the timing here. Let's look at another clip. Let's look at what happened to the Houthis in Yemen. So let's take a look here.
These will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from...
Okay, so let me just back it up a little bit. White House press secretary, you guys.
President Trump straight bombed the Houthis yesterday. He said that if they retaliate, he was going to personally hold Iran accountable for that.
Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran. And Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. That is a statement from the President of the United States just moments ago. I have nothing additional to share, but our message to Iran is you better take this president seriously, and I think the Houthis learned that the hard way this past weekend. As I said in my opening remarks, there's a new sheriff in town, and this president is not just going to sit on his hands and allow terrorists to launch attacks on commercial vessels and U.S. naval ships. Those actions will not be tolerated.
You hear the style of rhetoric that this president is unleashing on the world, that he is a war hawk and is preparing to unleash a war in the Middle East on behalf of Israel. Excuse me, you guys. Sometimes that happens here. So what we're looking at is a unilateral approach between America and Israel in destroying the powers that are in the Middle East right now and subjugating those people that are in the Middle East. And so we looked at a ceasefire. These guys were under ceasefire since mid-January. So what would be the purpose of this ceasefire, you guys, the ceasefire in Gaza? That would be to allow President Trump to enter into office in a peaceful stance, you guys. Hey, this has all been planned out, and it's been planned before your eyes. We know that President Biden was, chief orchestrator, not him himself, then his cronies or whoever was running the White House during his administration. We know he had pretty much checked out. Whether it be Kamala or any number of other people, we know that who was it? Blinken, that was doing most of the negotiations. We know that they unilaterally supported the genocide in Israel, sending billions of dollars in weapons and in funding to Israel in order to complete this genocide under the watch of President Biden, you guys. We understand when President Trump came into office, it had to look like he had a significant impact on the war effort and was creating a peaceful stance. So there was a ceasefire enacted, 3 days before the presidential inauguration. This shows, without a doubt, you guys, cooperation between Israel and America to pacify the American public in this war-fighting effort. So you have President Trump coming into office mid-January, and then a ceasefire, quote-unquote, also coming into effect mid-January, so that Trump looks like he is causing peace. But here we are 2 months later, again on the Ides of March. And the Ides of March, this is, again, pagan religion, date keeping, festival keeping. This is what this is. The Ides of March, like we talked about in the last video, being the set-off point, the catalyst date to restart this hot war in Israel, you guys. Let's look at another clip. We're gonna have to look at this commercial. I thought I had everything set up, you guys.
We have agreed on the military plan to go back.
Let's rewind it.
We have agreed on the military plan to go back to an intensified operation against Hamas.
Intense fight operation.
Negotiations will only
from now on.
Fire. I promise. This is only the beginning.
Negotiations under fire. Only the beginning.
Joins us from the Jordanian capital Amman, because the Palestinian Authority has suspended Al Jazeera's operations in the occupied West Bank. Camden, Benjamin Netanyahu saying there then all negotiations will only continue whilst fighting goes on. So that means the war has resumed?
Yes, that means the war has resumed. They have begun hot operations in Gaza. Their plan is to ethnically cleanse all of those people from Gaza. You guys have seen the video, right? The video with Trump that was made by AI, the one that has the golden statue of Trump in it. We've already talked about what that golden statue represents. That President Trump is seeing himself as Nebuchadnezzar. You know, Netanyahu being there on his side as well. We know that the term Netanyahu means gift from Yahweh. And this is clearly Hebrew, clearly correct terminology being used. So this person being in place, Netanyahu, meaning gift of Yahu or Yahweh, this person in place is signaling that he, Netanyahu, in exactly the same way as Trump, this is his name, you guys. He used to go by Benjamin Netai to hide the name of Yahweh at the end of his name. But he, when he went into political office, when he became leader over that state, he openly proclaimed his name with the name of the Father in it, as if, like Nebuchadnezzar, he was the gift, he was the sword of Yahweh. And so you see that there are a lot of biblical parallels going on here with Trump, Netanyahu, war in Israel, all these things starting up at the same time. Let's keep looking at what we got here, you guys. So what we want to identify here is that all of this is a play. We understand that Netanyahu himself funded Hamas and organized Hamas and was the creator and inventor of Hamas. Hamas, of course, is the terrorist organization located inside of Gaza, the Gaza Strip, that gives Israel the excuse to bomb Gaza. And so Netanyahu being behind these terrorist attacks would play right into the hand of demonic politics, where you create the problem and then also find the solution. You see what I'm saying? It's the Hegelian dialectic, except played with war values, you guys. We recognize that all these things will be happening at the end of the world, but this is the way that they're playing out. Do not fall into this trap of supporting Israel here, you guys. It's an easy trap to fall into because we know one day in the future that we will be in this land and we want to say, oh, well, okay, well, the Muslims are not our allies, and then the Israelis are not our allies, and then the Americans are not our allies either. So whatever happens to them happens. Let them duke it out and let them war it out, and then we wash our hands from it. Ain't got nothing to do with me. You guys, because anything that happens in the world is always going to be a test run for what they will do to us, you guys. And then, of course, that's not the only reason why we have sympathy for the people that are in Gaza being bombed and killed. Of course, we have sympathy because they are, at the end of the day, whatever religion they are innocent people. And we, as Israelites, as the holders of the word of Elohim, always look out for the victim, always look out for the underdog, always look out for the orphans, for the poor, for the widows. This is our responsibility, whether it be in word or whether it be in deed. And here, since we can't do it in deed, it has to be in word. We also condemn the actions that are done by the Israeli state and by the United States. You guys that are in America, you have to understand that the blood of the Gazans is on your hands as well. Why? Because your tax dollars are going towards this war and has been for the past year, you guys. And so the war is staged, is set up. There's a real war going on, but we know that the two opposite sides of the war are in agreement with one another to wage the war against the people, you guys. The whole, what was it, October 6th or October 13th? October 10th? The whole war started with an attack on these makeshift planes, at a concert in Israel. And even that attack Most of the people that were killed in that attack were done by Israeli forces under the Samson Act, under the Samson initiative that says that if they are under attack in any way, they have the right to open fire on civilians. This is an Israeli army directive that has existed as a directive for years and years already. They do not mind killing their own people, you guys. We know this because we know the history of the Holocaust. And I'll have to come back and do a video on the Holocaust so you guys can get a clear understanding of what happened there. Because it was the Zionist Jews that set the non-Zionist Jews up to be holocausted and in order to be the sacrificial lamb for the world to gain sympathy for the Jews. And we know that that plan worked, you guys. So this is the style of people that you're dealing with when you're dealing with the Ashkenazim. Let's take a look.
It's back in focus. And it doesn't make Netanyahu look good. New details have emerged. They show how he helped fund Hamas. How the Israeli Prime Minister helped Hamas get millions of dollars every year. This is the same group that he talks about destroying.
Funded Hamas, you guys.
He secured millions of dollars for them. Suitcases full of cash. Delivered to Gaza with Israeli security. It started in 2014.
Started in 2014, but way before then too, you guys.
Helped to rebuild Gaza, so it started sending money. But this money could not be delivered without Israeli help. And that's where Netanyahu came in. He supported the plan. Not just that, he even lobbied Washington. In 2017, the US was not happy with Qatar's link to Hamas. It wanted a sanction Doha. But Netanyahu sent his lawmakers all the way to Washington. He told America that Qatar is not a problem. Instead, it is part of the solution. That they needed Qatar for a peaceful Gaza. So Qatar continued to give money to Hamas and Israel supported them. Then
As you can see, the whole plan was set up by Netanyahu to begin with. Netanyahu is an old spy. He is one of the instrumental terrorists that has been in the area in Israel over the past 4 decades or so, you guys. We know that you are dealing with terroristic governments that make plans with one another in order to enact those plans on the people. We know this because of the book of Revelation, you guys. You have to recognize that this is what's happening. This is the world that they have created for us to live in right now, you guys. Let's read what the book of Revelation says about what's going on right now. We're going to have to make the connection here. It says, "And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication." It says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy." What's a name of blasphemy, you guys? What would be a name of blasphemy? Could that be a name that is in place of another name? Do you see what I'm saying? There's no J in Hebrew, so where does Jehovah come from? There's no J in Hebrew, so where does Jesus come from? These false names, would those be blasphemous names? You better believe it. Don't doubt it in your mind. It says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple." We know purple and blue are the same ancient color. "And scarlet is red, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication." You guys, you've got red and blue here. This is red, white, and blue being the colors of the flag, having a golden cup. That golden cup, like the Statue of Liberty, golden cup, right? The Statue of Liberty is holding a torch with a flame coming out of it, but isn't that the equivalent of a golden cup? Aren't flames, cinders, fire, aren't they a golden color, yellow, gold, orange color? So you guys, the symbolism for who this represents is very clear here, that is representing America, Babylon the Great, mystery Babylon the Great, who is predicted in this text that will be destroyed by Yahweh, be destroyed by the Elohim of Yisrael, you guys. It says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, this is the Israelites, and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahusha. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. You guys, these are the things that are coming to pass right now. If you see the beast with 10 horns, let's jump down to verse 12. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. It says, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. So we're talking about the end of the world. This is the Lamb. This is Mashiach, Yahusha, coming to rescue his people. They will make a war with the Lamb, but the Lamb will overcome them. Now let's look. Let's look at what we have here as far as the plans for the breaking up of the earth, you guys. These are the plans. This is the Club of Rome. The Club of Rome is a think tank. It's a global think tank. It's a very important one because these are the people that have designed world policy, for the past 50, 60, 70 years or so. This map, this reorganized map of the world, was initially put forth in 1974, you guys. In 1974. And if you noticed that there are 10 kingdoms on this map. North American Union, right here. European Union, 2. Japan European Union, 3. So Japan would be associated with Europe right there. We know why. Pacific Union, 4 and 4. Asia Cooperation Union, that's 5. You're talking about Eastern Europe and Russia. It says South American Union. We've got Mexico and South America right here. Arab Customs Union, 7. So you've got here Israel in that mix too, you guys. Pay very close attention to that because they are conquering all of these areas as we speak, right? This is what this is all about. They're forming this map as we speak, and we're going to talk about this right here too, you guys. You recognize what this is? Do you recognize what's happening here? Stuff that's happening right now. Things that have never happened before happening right now. African Union, you guys. 8. This is sub-Saharan Africa. You see this little space of land right here. This is where the natural Hamites, the natural Shemites, were all forced to by the Gogite takeover all around them, you guys. You have the Southeast Asian nations in 9. So you've got here India and, the Philippines and, Indonesia right here. You've got all of the island communities right here. You've also got Shanghai Corporation for 10, you guys, which is China. And so you've got the 10 Kingdom plan map right here. And it's very interesting that you would have this here as something that they are literally attempting to form right now. If you guys can recognize that Trump is following a guideline that has been put in place for 50 years already. If this map was introduced in 1974, and here it is 2025, this Canada overtaking, Canada as the 51st state, is not something that wasn't known about for a very long time already, you guys. You have to recognize that nothing that's going on in the news today is new. There's no new news in the news. Everything has already been foreshadowed. Everything has already been planned. If not in these, these slap together movies with, the subtext to them that are predicting things that are going to happen in the future. We know that happens. We know that they do that. We know that Hollywood and the government like to foreshadow the things that they're going to do in the programs that they put out on television. We know this already. If it's not only foreshadowed there, then it's definitely foreshadowed in the scripture, because the scripture reveals to us all things, the people that believe. We have most of the information that we need to identify what's going on already. We just need to know who the players are. We recognize that these 10 kings are the kings that will come into power at the end of the world. Does that sound like 10 toes? Feet of iron and mirror clay? Does that sound like the Magogites and their kingdom taking over at the end of the world? It absolutely does. It says, and the woman which thou saw, it says the woman, we'll skip down to verse 18 here. It says, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And so this is that great city, America, you guys. America being a part of those 10 kingdoms, being, having all authority inside its own region, you guys, hooking up with Benjamin Netanyahu, authority in his region, hooking up with China, hooking up with Russia, Putin, all authority in their region, coming together and giving their power unto the beast. Now, has that beast revealed himself yet? No, he has not, but we know what he will be like, because we've already got the blueprint for him to appear in 2 Thessalonians, you guys. We know that all of these things are planned together, and they are planned for the one world system to introduce the mark of the beast to come. You've got Trump in position with all of the vaccination requirements in place, so that the next pandemic that comes along will come along with it strict draconian measures, so that you will not be able to buy or sell unless you're a part of that system. They tested it out with the vaccine mandates that just passed, and they will introduce them. Now, see, we thought that they were introducing them and they would be locked in place and there was nothing that we could do about it. But hallelujah that we still have time, and that we still had time, because we still need time. We're not where we need to be even yet. We need to be growing, we need to be storing, we need to be canning, we need to be knowing the ways of the land, so that when these times come, when that card stops working, when that money fails, when you have to have the chip in your hand or the chip in your forehead, that you will not fall victim to the mark of the beast through hunger or through ignorance and through manipulation. We know that those days are coming, so we should be preparing for them. We should be preparing for them now. And we see the pieces, almost like pieces on a chessboard, being moved into place according to the word, that the 10 kingdoms are being set up according to the word. And once these 10 kingdoms are set up in the way that they want them to be, then comes the end. Then comes the introduction of the anti-Messiah. Then comes the mark of the beast. And then if you wait until then to get yourself together, then you don't have anything to fall back on, you guys. So this is what we're reporting. This interpretation of the scripture, this interpretation of modern events. We understand that the war in Gaza is a multifaceted style of thing, because we understand the Gazans themselves as ancient Magogites too. We know that the Ottoman Turks were Magog, that they controlled all of the Middle East, all the way up until 1917, when England conquered Jerusalem and gave Jerusalem to the Rothschilds in the Balfour Declaration of 1917. When else have you seen a head of state or a representative of a state bequeath land over to a single individual or family? You're talking about Arthur Balfour, representative of the state of England, who wrote a letter to Lionel Rothschild, a banker, right? This is a private citizen, bequeathing the land of Israel and Jerusalem over to Rothschild and his family. So you know that there are great workings behind the scenes. If 100 years ago, the city, the great city which was Jerusalem, was then given over to an Ashkenaz family, and since then, ever since then, America has been the manipulated power to be able to strike any Israeli enemy at any time based on manipulating the American people. We as Americans, and I say we very loosely here, we as Americans are the tools of Israel, and we will fight on Israel's behalf based on manipulation, based on money, based on lies, based on what they wish to accomplish in the world to come, in the order that is to come. And so we recognize that that's what's happening right now with this Houthi strike in Yemen, coordinated with the Gaza strike in Israel, you guys. Two prongs of the same head, the same beast system, you guys. So this is all that we have to report right now. We will be following the events closely. Netanyahu has said that he will ramp up this war. So we expect to see many, many more casualties from this day forward. We expect to see Trump involved. We expect to see boots on the ground. We expect to see American troops on the ground. We expect to see all the atrocities of war coming to pass before our eyes, you guys. Everybody stay prayed up. Yahweh Elohim will always have our back. But we have to understand what we're dealing with, what prophecies are being fulfilled right before us, so that we can prepare accordingly. This has been Hebrew News, and I am Yerid Yao, signing off.